A lot of times when people are pointing the finger at others, they should be pointing the finger at themselves. Today on rLounge, we learn that sometimes the devil comes in the shape of a mother-in-law, and the spawn of Satan is her daughter. Mother-in-law kicked me and my husband out of her house on Christmas Day. I've posted a couple of times on Reddit about my mother-in-law and sister-in-law problems. It's a long story, but to keep it short, my 30 female, husband's 31 male, sister, 35 female, has been rude, disrespectful, and outright racist to me pretty much right after she met me. We've had one too many uncomfortable moments, and she's treated me really bad so many times I lost count. Mother-in-law, 66 female, knows about all this, but she's always insisted on us trying to get along with her and forced her presence into us, always taking her side and not taking no for an answer when it comes to us setting our boundaries. With that being said, dear husband and I have been avoiding sister-in-law as much as we can all year, but we knew that we wouldn't be able to do so during the holidays, which brings us to Christmas. We went to my in-laws for dinner and, as expected, she was there. She ignored us and we ignored her, as usual, and the day went by smoothly, for the most part. When it started to get late, we decided to open presents, so my father-in-law started handing them out. We opened a few and my mother-in-law got a present from her daughter that took her a long time to open, and then they started talking about it. So my father-in-law asked me to help him handing out my presents. I got my husband's and gave it to him and said, "I guess you can just open it." And his mom looked at us in that moment and I said, "Look what I got him." To what her daughter suddenly exploded and said something like, "What the F? Can't you just wait?" I honestly didn't think it was such a big deal and didn't hear all that she said because I was getting the other present that complimented the first one, but I heard my husband say, "Don't you talk to my wife like that?" And then a fight started because she called me a B word. It was awful. Everyone was yelling, dear husband to sister-in-law for talking to me like that, she yelling at him and insulting him and calling him a little B word for taking my side, and me telling her to don't talk to him like that. I tried to keep my cool, but I failed. Then mother-in-law started saying it was time for all of us to talk and fix things. I didn't want to because I knew there was no way to fix anything, especially not on Christmas, and not after some had a lot to drink, because it has happened before and it's always bad. So they said the typical, "But why don't you want to stay and talk things through? Why don't you want to fix things?" All the things my therapist said they would say to try and manipulate us into talking to them so they can belittle and mistreat us, which they totally did. I've been in therapy for a while now, trying to get help and learn how to deal with my in-laws in situations like this, and it has helped me when I applied the tools she gave me. But this time I couldn't get out of there on time. I tried to leave. I told my husband I wanted to leave, but that's when his mom started to say that I didn't want to fix things because I was happy with how everything was and I didn't care about their family, and that he probably doesn't either. So he didn't want to leave to prove them wrong and show he wanted things to get better. They didn't. They just got worse. Sister-in-law said a lot of awful things to me and about me, blaming me for the bad relationship with her brother, saying that I drove him apart and because of me, he didn't speak to her anymore. To which dear husband replied saying that they were never close and they never got along, that they never had an actual relationship, and that of course after seeing how she treated me, he didn't want to be around her anymore. But she kept playing the victim card and blaming me for anything and everything. She accused me of taking advantage of her parents and making them pay for our wedding, which is not true because they offered and insisted on paying, insisting on going all out when we wanted a small wedding. But she said I'm just using them and practically accused me of marrying her brother because of his parents' money. That made me really mad because when I met him, I didn't know his parents had money, and also it's not like they are super wealthy or anything. They are just above average. But she acts like they have tons and tons of money and said I should worship them and kiss the ground they walk on. I have to say, I was baffled by this. I'm a hard worker. At some point, I had 3 jobs at the same time, and I've never needed him to pay for anything for me. We have always split everything 50-50, and regarding their parents paying for our wedding, we've been very careful with what we spend and choosing the cheapest option for every aspect of the wedding. Mother-in-law joined her for a lot of things she said, calling me a liar and at some point, the devil, telling me maybe I should go to church like them. She just started going to church a few weeks ago to see if that way I can find some forgiveness in my heart and let the past go and be kind to her daughter because it's not fair on her. She kept saying that whatever her daughter did to me was in the past and I should just forget about it and have a relationship with her, all because dear husband and I are getting our big wedding in 3 weeks in Mexico, and she wants us to include her daughter in every activity and make her feel part of the whole experience. When dear husband told her that's not something she can ask us to do after everything that has happened, She said her favorite line, that she's family and we have to accept her as she is because she's not going to change. Then she blamed me for making her son think like that and said I was responsible for all that was happening. All the time she yelled those things pointing at me, and at some point she came more than halfway across the table towards me and was so agitated I really thought she was going to hit me. Father-in-law kept trying to calm her down and even called her out a few times because she was crossing every line and also lying about some things. But when he told her that what she was saying wasn't true, she told him to F off and showed him the middle finger. She did this multiple times in front of everyone. At some point, sister-in-law left and dear husband and I started grabbing our things, but his mom wasn't done. She started telling me I had to do what she says and not treat her daughter like that I had to fix things and leave everything in the past, and I was like, after all that just happened, you still really expect me to do that? And she said, that's the least you could do after everything I've done for you. She's my daughter, and I've seen on your face your disdain for her. I've seen it. I was shocked and only said, you've also seen how she treats me multiple times. To which she replied, I don't care what she does. She's my daughter. You know what? Get the F out of my house. Get out. So I did. I grabbed my things and walked out. I heard my husband say something to her while I was getting my bag, and she kicked him out too and said she didn't want to see either of us. Father-in-law was shocked. I heard him say to her, what have you done? Do you realize what you just did? And tried to make us stay. He followed me all the way to our car, apologizing the whole time, begging me to give them another chance. But I couldn't, and I told him I just wanted to go home. He was crying. He hugged me and apologized again before I got in the car. Then dear husband and I left. I cried while we drove home, and then some more when we got in the house, and a lot more when I saw my husband cry like a little kid while I hugged him. He fell asleep crying in my arms. It absolutely broke my heart seeing him that way, and I cried for hours after that. The whole experience was traumatizing. I still get all shaky when I remember all that was said and done to us. The next day, we got a text from his mom apologizing for what happened the night before and asking us to go to dinner so the four of us can talk things out. Dear husband asked me what did I want to do, and I only said I wasn't ready to talk about that yet. I've never been treated that way before, and he said he wasn't ready either. So he told her we couldn't talk to them yet, and she asked us to please let her know as soon as we can because she feels awful and wants to fix things. As of this point, we haven't seen them yet, but my husband has been getting messages from his dad telling him how bad his mom feels. I got a couple messages too, but decided not to respond because I'm still upset and need to cool off before I say anything. I feel terrible for my husband because it's his family, but I am also heartbroken because of how they treated me. I don't know what to do. I've never been in a situation like this before, and it's overwhelming. At one point, they made me doubt all that I know and all that I've seen, and made me think I was the problem, and I thought maybe everything would be better if I wasn't here anymore. I'm scared because this has taken a toll on my mental health for a while now, and now it's worse. And I don't know how to take care of myself while being there for my husband. I just hope we can both get through this. I know I can count on him. I'm just scared that I might not be strong enough. Let's check in with the community for some reactions. Zephyr Gale 143 says, their definition of fixing things is for you to do as they say and submit to the mistreatment. They even told you that sister-in-law will not change. This is not fixing. Evolving Cyborg says, this reminds me of a quote. Sometimes people use respect to mean treating someone like a person, and sometimes they use respect to mean treating someone like an authority. Sometimes people who are used to being treated like an authority say, if you won't respect me, I won't respect you. And they mean, if you won't treat me like an authority, I won't treat you like a person. And they think they're being fair, but they aren't, and it's not okay. Tuppence07 adds, I am so sorry this happened. Mother-in-law is blind. She told you to forget about the stuff sister-in-law did in the past. The past? It was 5 minutes ago. Hopefully you and your husband are able to get through this and maybe father-in-law can kick some sense into mother-in-law. T-Zob says, when they insisted on paying for the wedding, they expected you to kiss their butt every time. Huge lesson here. Taking money from someone gives them leverage over us. Those people got a chance to belittle you just because of that. Jazz Like Adeptness 1 adds, she's not sorry for what she did and said her husband likely read her the riot act and she realized that her son is going to back you up. She meant everything she said. You're supposed to suck it up when her daughter treats you like crap. She'll never tell her daughter she's wrong because she's her daughter. I feel for your significant other, but you don't need this chaos in your life. I am so sorry, OP. There is no instance where people can talk to you like that, ever. That is so incredibly disrespectful, and people like that need to let that sink in for a while, if not forever. You don't owe them anything. You certainly don't owe them a dinner. She needs to sit in the corner and really think about what she's done to you and her son. You're a part of the family just like anyone else. You're her daughter-in-law, and she should stick up for you just as she does with any of her children. In no way, shape, or form were her actions okay. As the mother, she should have stepped in and stopped her daughter from speaking to you like that. And for her to put your husband in that situation too? Despicable. I'm so sorry, OP. I think her version of talking things out too is a lot different than what a normal person would think that to mean. Please don't put yourself in such a toxic situation. Take as long as you need. You need a safe and positive and open environment to properly discuss family issues, and I'm not sure that's something that this woman or your husband's family can offer. Have you experienced something similar? Let us know in the comments below. What happened? What did you do? How did you get through it? And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below.